I'm going to ask you some questions about the report that Dr. Ruffalo authored. May I approach you? I know you've seen this many times, but I'll put it up for your review, and I'll represent to you, Doctor. It's actually a two-page report, but we've shrunk it down to one so that the CC contacts are all displayed on the same page. Have you had a chance to see this report before, Doctor?
Yes, I have.
In preparing for your testimony today, have you formed any opinions on the standard of care?
I have.
And what's your understanding of what the standard of care is?
For this, for Dr. Ruffalo, are you asking me about him in particular?
Yeah. Have you formed any opinions of whether Dr. Ruffalo met the standard of care in this case?
I have.
And what are those opinions?
He did meet the standard of care. He was obligated to render an accurate and timely diagnosis under the standard of care. He certainly rendered an accurate diagnosis, and no one is contesting what he said. No one is contesting his diagnosis, so I certainly agree he rendered an accurate diagnosis. This specimen apparently was submitted on Friday afternoon. He got the slides the following Monday, and in his deposition states that he looked at the slides, rendered an opinion, a diagnosis, and put it in the computer within less than 1 hour of having received the slides. And I think that certainly is timely. So based on those factors, I think he met all the standards of care which would apply to him in this case.
I'm going to ask you a few more questions about this slide, but before we get there, I understand that in the course of serving today, you understand you're called here as an expert?
Correct.
You're not an advocate for either side. You're calling balls and strikes as you see them.
No, that's correct.
Now, you do charge reimbursement for your time spent on the case? And what do you charge for your
$500 an hour.
Have you ever been retained, well, let me back up a minute. How often have you testified in trial in malpractice cases?
This will be the third time.
And the other two, do you remember, were you for the plaintiff or for the defendant?
One was for plaintiff and one was for defendant.
So in your long career, this is only the third time you've had to come to court in a malpractice case?
Correct.
Have you ever been retained by my office?
No.
And have you ever been retained to represent Dr. Ruffalo or testify on his behalf?
No.
You ever met him before?
No.
Now, going back to the interpretation, the jury's heard some medical terms that were on that report. One of them is an area-stellar reaction. Can you explain what that means?
Area-stellar reaction is something the pathologist sees when he looks at the microscope. The uterus is lined by an endometrium. This is the tissue on the inside of it. And the purpose of that endometrium is to nourish and sustain that placenta once the woman is pregnant. And that's under hormonal control. Those hormones change that endometrium, make it look, it's hard to explain to you, it makes it look much more juicy. There's visible sort of dramatic changes that you see in that endometrium that any pathologist will recognize, and that happens anytime a lady is pregnant. And that's just the hormones' effect on the endometrium, getting the endometrium ready to receive a fertilized ovum and develop a placenta.
The finding of an area-stellar reaction, does that indicate in and of itself whether the patient may have an ectopic pregnancy?
No, that indicates only that she's pregnant.
Now, there's another finding on there that the jury's heard about. It's called chorionic villi. What does that mean?
Chorionic villi are a part of the placenta. It's basically be thought of as the roots that grow into the endometrium and make contact with the maternal blood supply. That's the whole point of the whole thing, is so that fetus is connected to its mother's blood supply. And the chorionic villi are a part of the placenta. And that just indicates that there's a product of conception present.
And in this report that Dr. Ruffalo authored, he indicates that he does not see chorionic villi, but he sees an area-stellar reaction. To you as a pathologist, what does that mean in terms of your differential diagnosis?
Well, it means that the woman is pregnant. The area-stellar reaction certainly indicates that she's pregnant. The absence of chorionic villi could indicate one of a couple of things. Either she's had what we call a missed abortion, that is, she's had an abortion that has already happened, and that all of the fetal components and all of the placental components have already passed out. She's already lost that. The only thing left back behind is this area-stellar stuff that you can tell that she was pregnant, and her body hasn't had enough time yet to regenerate her endometrium back to what it would normally look like. So either she's had an abortion and all the fetal material is gone now, you just didn't get it, you weren't there in time, number one. Or number two, she's has what's called an ectopic pregnancy, and that the fetus and the villi are somewhere else, usually fallopian tube.
Now, I use the term differential diagnosis. Can you explain to the jury what a differential diagnosis is?
Differential diagnosis is you see a problem and you think of all the reasons that could cause it. I guess to put it sort of in an everyday context, you go in your kitchen and flip the light switch on, the light doesn't come on. Well, what possible problems are there? Well, the bulb could be shot. There could be something wrong with the light socket. Maybe the power's off. Maybe there's a break in the wire somewhere. So those four possibilities would be your differential diagnosis. It's why that light didn't come on. In medicine, pretty much the same.
So in this case, those findings, that's not diagnostic of the ectopic pregnancy.
No, it's what we call, it's consistent with it, but not diagnostic of it, which is the big difference.